Hi friends, it's Dory here, certified Optavia health coach, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you a fun recipe that you can make for this year's Thanksgiving dinner. So today's recipe is a cauliflower and biscuit stuffing that you can make with your Optavia Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuit and thyme. Let's dive into the recipe and to the ingredients. You will need 2 packets of the Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuit fueling, 2/3 cup of cold water, some non-stick cooking spray, and you're also going to need 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, 1 cup of chopped celery, but today we're actually going to use 1.5 cups of celery, and I'll explain why. What I actually did was I used the vegetable conversion sheet here, and I weighed out the celery, and that came out to 151 grams for 1.5 cups of celery. We'll need 1/3 cup of yellow onion, 1 garlic clove. We're also gonna need 4.5 cups of cauliflower, which is 350 grams measured. Now the recipe did call for mushrooms, but I'm not a big fan of mushrooms, so that is why I added an additional 1/2 cup of celery and an additional 1/2 cup of cauliflower. So you'll see the original recipe down in the description box. You can go there, see the link, and if you love mushrooms, then you can definitely add the mushrooms and add just less cauliflower and less celery to the mix. You're also gonna need 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And you also need 1/2 cup of chicken broth. And today I am using low sodium chicken broth. And I got this from Fry's, which is a Kroger store that we have here in Arizona. Some other utensils you'll need is a bowl, a whisk, and a spatula. And you will also need a loaf pan. All right, let's dive in and put all the ingredients together. All right, so we're gonna start off first by making our Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuits. In a medium-sized bowl is to combine the Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuit with 2/3 cup of cold water. So we're just gonna open these up. Okay, and to this we're gonna add our 2/3 cup of water. Use our mini whisk to mix everything. And I apologize about my Band-Aid here. I actually was cooking earlier in the week and I actually got a steam burn from cooking some ground turkey. And so it doesn't look appealing on camera. I'm sure the Band-Aids don't look appealing as well, but it's better than seeing the wound itself, so I cover that up. Okay, so that looks well mixed. Now we're gonna grab our loaf pan here, and we're gonna lightly spray it with some non-stick cooking spray. Okay, and we're just gonna pour this right in. So now this will go into the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. So the cheddar herb biscuit is now out of the oven, and you're gonna let it cool. And then after, once it's cooled, we'll need to cut it up into pieces and then put it back in the oven. While we're waiting for this to cool, it actually says to put the temp up to 400 degrees. So making sure after you take out your biscuit, to now set your oven at 400 degrees. Okay, so now we're gonna do the next step, and then it says to cut cooked biscuit into small cubes and spread onto a lightly greased baking sheet. Increase oven temperature to 400 degrees, which we just did, and then bake until toasted about 10 minutes. So now we're just gonna take this out of the pan here. Let's see if it's gonna come out. And for this, you can use just a regular baking sheet. You can lightly spray it with some cooking spray, but I actually have the silicone mat that I'm gonna use to go ahead and bake this biscuit on here. All right. So now it says to cut them into cube-sized pieces. So what we're gonna do is just do what it's called for. So cut into cube-sized pieces. And now we're just gonna spread them around. And now back in the oven at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. All right, so now that the biscuit is back in the oven while it continues to cook, I've got about 7 minutes left for the baking time. In the meantime, what we're gonna do now is put the rest of the stuffing together. So now it says to add let me bring back my tray full of goodies here so you can see what I'm adding in. All right, so gonna turn this skillet on to medium high, and then now we're gonna add in our butter. I had to grab a spoon, so I'm gonna melt some butter, and that was 1 tablespoon of butter. And then once this is melted, we're gonna add the celery, which we need to chop up right now. So we're gonna add our celery. Okay, we're gonna smash our garlic. It doesn't say anything about like the garlic to mince it or anything, but I'm just gonna slightly chop this up. I'll throw in the garlic. It smells yummy already. All right, and if you can still hear me, my microphones actually went out, but I'm gonna get a 1/3 cup. And we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of onions to this. So it's about a 1/3 cup here. We're gonna add that to the mixture. And it says cook about until it's soft. So I'm gonna just turn this back up just a little bit. So this is what it looks like. It is cooking very well. So let that still cook for a bit more. All right, so while that is going, I'm also gonna roughly chop the 4.5 cups of cauliflower. So we're just gonna roughly chop. So I'm just gonna, again, roughly chop this up. And mix this real quick. It doesn't say how small you want your cauliflower, but I mean, if this is going to be like a stuffing, I think we kind of want it still have some texture, but not too big of pieces. Okay, so let's go ahead now and add our celery to this. We're going to add the poultry seasoning, so the 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. Sprinkle that everywhere. Salt and pepper. Okay, and then cook until tender for about 8 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna put a lid on this just so that it can create some steam and cook a little bit more. All right, so this is what it looks like with the cauliflower mixed in. So we're just gonna let that cook for about, I would say, another maybe 6-5 minutes. Then we'll come back and add the biscuit and then the low sodium chicken broth. All right, let's check on this one more time, and I think this should be good. All right, so it says to cook until tender, so it looks pretty delicious with the cauliflower, celery, onion, and all of the seasoning that was added to this. So now we're gonna add in our chicken broth. And then now add in our toasted biscuit into the mix. And then we're gonna stir. Okay, so that's what it looks like with the biscuit inside. And we're just gonna let this cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. And then remove from heat and cover with the lid to sit for about 10 minutes. Actually, let's keep the lid off. We're just keeping the lid off to cook for another minute. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. And we're just gonna leave the lid on. The last step says remove from heat, cover with lid, let it sit for 10 minutes before serving. So we're just gonna let this marinate for about 10 minutes and we'll serve. Okay, so I think I've got my microphone back, so hopefully you can hear me better. But now we're gonna transfer this. It's been 10 minutes since this has been covered and steaming hot. So put the lid down over here real quick. All right, so I've got a container here. I'm just gonna pour this stuffing mixture into a dish now. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. All right, and there we have it, the cauliflower and biscuit stuffing using the Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuit from the Optavia program. All right, friends, that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching as we turn the Buttermilk Cheddar Herb Biscuit into a cauliflower biscuit stuffing for Thanksgiving. And don't forget to add me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, as well as if you're looking for an Optavia group, I have one that's called Journey to Health and Wellness, where we talk all Optavia related things. We share tips, tricks, recipes, and of course, if there are any upcoming challenges that we do on the 5-in-1 program, they're all mentioned there. In the meantime, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video.